My mom told me not to talk to strangers on the internet, but I'm glad I didn't listen. We are the Certified Nunas, your sisters in the love of Asian entertainment.
Hi, I'm Amanda.
I'm Jessie.
I'm Natalia.
I'm Sky.
And today we have such a treat for you because this begins the 2019 retrospective of things that we watched and things that we thought while we watched them. And so today, for the retrospective, we're going to talk about dramas that we watched this year that we thought were going to be not great, but turned out to be pretty good, or maybe even amazing. So we'll just see what we come up with. So this is sort of like we're going to go and talk about like, oh, did we see a preview that looked kind of funky and somehow it turned into a great show or what? So that's what we're going to do. And then we're also going to have a little fun, good time where we try to fix the drama industry once again. We're back at it. We're
always
back
trying to help.
We just want to be helpful to the drama industry. So we're starting a new segment that I have just now dubbed as we were chatting about it. Trope Rehab. We're going to rehab some tropes. But first, let's talk about dramas this year. We watched quite a few, and, this was our first year on the podcast, so we watched quite a few for the podcast. But we also, have no lives, so we watched, I might be just speaking for myself here, but we collectively watched quite a bit from a variety of countries. Some were better than others. So let us talk about dramas that we watched thinking they were going to be meh, but actually were meh, if you know what I mean. All right, who wants to go first?
I don't know. When Sky first brought up the idea, the first drama that popped into my head was The King's Avatar, which I didn't go in thinking it was going to be bad. I just thought it was going to be okay. Like, my sort of expectation to enjoyment ratio was much higher than I thought it was going to be. Like, it was one of my top dramas this year. I really, really enjoyed it, and I just enjoyed it. Somebody on my timeline's watching it now, and she's like, it's comfortable. It's just a comfortable drama. Like, everything is okay about it. Like, even when the bad things happen, they're not anxiety-inducing bad things. It's going to turn out fine in the end, and it's just fun to watch. It's visually super pretty, and I didn't think I would like the video game stuff as much as I did, and I just really, really, really enjoyed it. And I sort of went into it thinking it would be average, at best. It would just kind of be a good time waster kind of thing, but
and that's the sort of vibe that we're going for here. Like, yeah. Well, I have 3.
Whoa.
I know.
And you can add more later.
Okay, I'll do one to begin with. They're all from different countries too. Okay, I'll start with China. We'll just keep going. Go Squid. I started watching it because I was sick, which is how like a lot of these stories with me start. I started watching it because I was sick, and I was like, okay, it'll probably just be, something that I can just put on for noise while I just lie here and wait for death. But then I became so invested in this stupid show. Like, I can't even say that the show is good, but it sucks you in, from what is basically the thinnest of premises.
It is though. It's super
such a thin. It's like a piece of cellophane for a premise. Here's the premise of Go Squid. Okay, there's a girl who falls in love with a guy who used to be a professional hacker and now runs a professional hacking team. That's the whole plot. It doesn't actually add much to that. There's no further plot of it. Well, there's like miniature plots, but they're not that important. Like
they do explore his like past gaming team and stuff a little bit more than we're getting him.
But they never have like a big bad guy that they have to like hack the bank system and like save the planet because of their hacking skills. There's nothing like that.
He gets over some of his weird grudges against his old friends.
Yeah,
like
but what I love about it is like every time you meet someone, it's like, oh, we have to defeat them. They defeat them, and then then they recruit them to their team.
Right.
So it's like, oh, but we're still friends. It's okay. And then every other episode, they're just going on about how they're only in this to bring glory to China. Glory to China. We gotta hack the best to show them that China can do it.
I'm currently watching a Chinese military-themed show, and it is not near as heavy-handed about the patriotism.
So heavy-handed. Like, I was like, okay, censorship went a bit much on this one. Okay? Like, we get it. You want to win for the glory of China. It also had probably the funniest line so every once in a while, they'll like, so, for us who watch dramas for a while, they'll be like an English character, right? Who has lines in English. But the lines that are in English were obviously written by someone whose English is not their first language. Even though it would be really easy to find someone to like workshop it to make sure the English sounds right, they don't. So there's this one scene, and my husband was watching it with me, and I swear to God, I have never seen a man laugh so hard as he did with this. So the scene is they're in Norway, at a hacking competition, and the announcer gets up and he says, "Now we're in beautiful downtown Norway." And I'm like, yeah.
Okay.
I didn't even catch that line. That's funny.
That's the name of a city in Norway. Nothing. Just downtown Norway. Like, yeah, just right straight downtown Norway. You know it. And they're just like,
and yet you loved it.
I know, and like the relationship was kind of inappropriate. Like when you think about it, like he was like, what? I know that okay. My parents had 30 years between them, so I can't, like, get too much up on edge. But, like, she was, like, 18, and he was, like, 30. Now, the distance...
Was he, though?
Yeah, I think he was.
Wasn't he more like 25?
Maybe, like, 28, 29, 30, like, around then.
And I think he was still in his 20s at least.
Yeah, like he was like at least 10 years older than her. And it's like, okay, like a 25-year-old and a 35-year-old. I'm like, yeah, whatever. But like the distance between an 18-year-old and a 28-year-old is a real big distance.
Oh, yeah.
Like, but he was...
I don't think she was 18. Now I'm thinking about it. She was like in her master's degree.
Yeah, but she started school early. They went into that.
I forgot she was super smart.
So,
anyway, I don't remember.
So like,
But the thing is, you really liked it. That's the point.
I really liked it, but she was also like the aggressive one. I'm not gonna say sexually. They don't really do anything in the show. It's very innocent. But like, he was always like, no, girl, no, get off of me, no. Like, okay, gentlemen. But yeah, no, that one was tight. It was tight. And the episodes aren't long, so it really is not, it seems like a bigger time commitment than it is.
Mm-hmm.
It was very, very, very cute.
Yes. So if you like cute stuff, but don't really want to be challenged.
Just a light, easy drama. Don't think
do
about
not think hard. If you think hard, it will be a problem.
It's basically the cotton candy of dramas, and I was like not expecting, and I was like deep into it. Like I was in the point where like it was on Viki, and it would be at like 60% subbed, like the new episode, and I was like,
Because it was Chinese, they were quick. Yeah. It was like every day we would get a new episode and stuff.
Yeah, and I was like, ooh, is 60%
yeah.
like enough subbed for me to watch?
Yeah, if you're waiting on Edge for Chinese subs, you know you're into the show. Like,
yeah, 'cause like, I'd be like checking back like every hour, like.
And then we'd be like, oh, it's 90. Go.
We can go. And yeah, so Sky and I were watching it at the same time, so I think we were equally as invested.
Yeah, I really can't explain why I was so emotionally invested into that show. I really don't know.
Like,
especially since the main guy character was rather.
He was he was tsundere to the extreme.
Yeah. He never really got, I guess, at the very end, but anyway.
Yeah, neither of them had much of like.
They should not have been as charming as they were, and yet they were charming.
No,
I don't know why.
Confusing.
Whereas most dramas, it's like, oh, they're obviously charming because they do such and such, and that's why.
Like, he's really hot, so that does help him quite a bit. He was the guy who starred in one of my favorite fantasy shows, Tianjin Mystic. It's on Netflix. Watch it. It's great. Thumbs up. But yeah, he's he can get it. Get it, as old Natalia says. All right, who's next?
Jesse can take it because since I talked a lot with Natalia.
Okay, so I'm gonna have it's a controversial pick, but not controversial because none of the other people have watched it, and probably hardly anybody listening has watched it. It's actually a drama I just finished. It's called Scum's Wish, which is a J-drama. It's I think 2017 drama, but they just subbed it and put it on Viki.
Classic.
Yeah. It's a shorter drama. It is one of those less than a half hour an episode and only 12 episodes. I went into it because it stars Dory, and I really like him, even though his dramas can be hit or miss. But I keep on trying because, I guess he's one of my go-to Japanese actors now. And the show, I will full out admit that it's not going to be for everyone. It has two of the things we've talked about that we do not like. Yeah. There is a student-teacher relationship type thing, and then it's also high school students who are very sexually active. So it's got that going for it. And it's hard to watch because of those. And this is why it's very controversial and why I don't know how I got through it, but still watched it. And then the outcome came, because even with all of that, and it was there was some parts where you're just I don't want to be watching this right now because I say those things, and it's also, remember, a J-drama, so they show things. It's not
it's not they fuzz it out and do something else.
No, they go full ham.
Yeah, and I think ease into it, not that it's good by any means. The actors are not high school age, even though they're playing high schoolers, and the student-teacher relationship, one of the pairings or whatever, Dory is the exact same age as the teacher, and they both look exactly the same age. So that kind of helps out things.
A classic, really.
Yeah, and I will say, a lot of people, I don't think a lot of people will be okay. If you're not okay with those things, you might not be able to get through this show. But what I really enjoyed about the show is that there's this arc with the female lead character, and it gets hairy and messy because of all the things that are going on, but the outcome of that and how she grew as a character and as a person was really well done. And I didn't expect it to end the way that it did, and the way that it ended was very true to the character and to the situation that they were kind of building, and was very mindful of her in a way. And so it was very surprising kind of going through the entire show and being oh, this is hairy, what am I doing, I don't want to be watching this, to get to that point at the end where I'm oh, I see what they did. So it's one of those shows that you definitely have to kind of get through, and you can see what their intention was. It's just hard to get there, but it really was surprising because I thought for sure in the beginning I just was not going to be okay with the story, and there were some hard parts where I was this, I don't want to be watching this right now. But the way that they kind of developed her character and her kind of journey in life was really interesting, and I'm glad that I watched it for that purpose.
I think I have two picks, but I'll go with my more serious one first. So The Light in Your Eyes, or Radiant, or whatever. There's a few different titles for it. I did think, even from square one, I hadn't looked at the trailers and stuff necessarily. When I started it, the tone of the show is pretty consistent throughout, really. So, like, first episode, you kind of get this bittersweet realism vibe. And so it's not like that changes much. I mean, you still kind of always have that tone throughout. So that didn't surprise me. What did surprise me is how much I enjoyed it. Because in general, it's not that I only watch happy shows, but bittersweet shows are definitely not my go-to by any means.
Yeah.
And they're definitely, and I won't like give it away because that would be like totally mean, but there is a sizable twist near the end that you're not expecting. So that was also like additional surprise level of that. But yeah, there's a lot of, it's also one of those shows, there's a lot of little surprises throughout because there's enough fantasy elements that you can't figure out what's really taking place or what maybe she's, so there's fantasy elements, but also she seems to have a good imagination as well. So like it kind of does that whole, oh, it was a daydream thing. So like you'll see a scene and then it'll kind of be like, oh, she woke up from a dream type thing. So like you might go through an entire day worth of actions and then, oh, come to find out she just woke up. So like negate everything that just happened. It seemed too shiny then anyway, right? But so they do that with you a lot, and then you have the fantasy elements, which then make it kind of weird. So there's a lot of surprises that actually go on with this, a lot of changes and stuff. But the acting was amazing. Everyone in it was great. Aside from the small fantasy elements, very realistic, and I like that. I mean, it was very realistic, but also so even some of it would take place in a seniors home type thing. Well, the seniors don't live there. They just go there during the day to be kind of like a daycare type. And so you'd see some of those struggles, but it would always be in a very mindful way too. It's not like they were just trying to exploit that setting, but they were trying to show various struggle, like this type of person and that type of person and the way their life has gone. So it was pretty cool. And a lot of surprises, like I said. So I mean, it's definitely one of my top dramas of the year. I would probably say it's definitely up there with like, I would recommend it to anybody that wants to watch that type of show. Like, it's great. But you have to be ready for that type of show. So like, it's not like, oh, it's just fun. Like, no, it's not. But and
like not quite, but I like, your enthusiasm.
I mean, also, I haven't been watching dramas for years and years, so I haven't watched that many bittersweet shows yet. I haven't made time, since it's not my like, the reason I watch so many rom-coms is because they're darn easy to watch.
Yeah.
So like, that'll be my next one. So I have to make an effort to be like, oh, I'm gonna try that tone of a show. And since it's winter, it's like, oh, I might try to work my way through a few as time goes on. But, when I'm busy with other stuff, it's like, oh, easy rom-com. Yeah, I don't even have to think really. Like, emotionally. And also I figured out, like, the past year or two, I've never been a crier, like, ever throughout my life. But I am more of out, evidently, right? So I think that's the thing, like, oh, and so I'm not used to crying, and therefore I never go, oh, I want to cry. And so I'm trying to accept that side of myself. So probably as I go through the bittersweet shows, like, that'll help me come to terms with the fact that crying is fine, and like, I guess
your emotions are okay.
I mean, to put it easily, I always looked up to like Spock as a good role model for how and my emotions. So
oh jeez.
That's what happens when you watch too much early Star Trek when you're like in middle school. Yeah, Light in Your Eyes. That was mine. That was my serious one. Do you want me to go to my next funny one to start us off? If
sure.
the second one's there. So My funny one, All Boys High, and I'm sure you guys don't know this show whatsoever. Web drama. The two main guys in it are from In Flying.
Oh no. No.
Yes.
Oh yes.
I want to say that this is offhand. This is me just trying to remember. I want to say that the episodes were like 5 minutes or less a piece. I don't even know what I was expecting when I went into it, but I was surprised at the way every episode ends. It ends on one of the characters making a really funny face and them doing a slow motion pan of it. Like, that's the whole the show. I don't remember.
That's like
They
totally
were like,
implying,
oh,
though.
that's
Like, that's their
totally
image.
implying.
But I mean, and it wasn't like this show was made for them. It's like they got casted in it. So I mean, it's not like it was this vehicle just to support them. Like, this was gonna be a thing even if they didn't get casted in it. But so yeah, Jaehyun, the drummer who has great expressions to begin with, and then Sunghyub, like, he plays, of course, a more like not emotional character, but so yeah. But at the end of every single episode, something happens and someone will make a really doofy face, and like that's the trope. And there's like 15, I don't remember how many episodes of this. Like, it is silly, and it's all through high school, and kind of there's some real struggles with stuff. I mean, it's not the super serious thing, but there's some things that go down, but then it always ends up going like, oh, there's the silly face that we're gonna stop on. Like, I don't know how they come up with stuff like that. That's it's one of those things that's like, oh, that's what sets Korean entertainment sometimes apart from like American entertainment. Like,
the slapstick.
Yeah.
The slapstick.
I mean, I can see that would maybe be a YouTube series that maybe someone would come up with. And so, I mean, that's the tone it has, but yeah, really funny. I had no idea it was going to be like that, because I was really like, oh, just like a school drama, web drama thing. Okay, oh my gosh, what is this doing? Like, and then I even watched the behind the scenes and stuff. I mean, they worked really, really hard on the production of this. Like, it was a big deal, but like, the fact that they would do that was really, really funny. You had some runners up,
I did. Okay, so now we all remember back to this summer when a series of very confusing trailers came out involving trampolines and bizarre situations, which led to us all being like, what the fuck is this drama about? Which also led to us all watching the drama The Secret Life of My Secretary, which turned out to be
Jesse didn't watch it.
I didn't watch it at all.
I didn't either.
Like, Sky and I
watched
Sky and I watched it, and it was really good, but like shouldn't have been. And even now that I'm like thinking about it, I'm like, why was it so good?
Yeah, I was doing a retrospective recently, like thinking about stuff, and I ran across that one. I was like, why did I like it so much?
Yeah,
and yet,
it was really entertaining. Like, it was well done. But I don't know why. Like, I can't really.
It was well acted. That helps.
And,
That always does
and
help.
it looked good.
It production value was good. Well acted for all the characters, even if there was a couple of tropey characters, but that's how they were structured. I think it's easily to recommend that one for rom-com, like people that love to just watch rom-com. It's an easy one. Some people find parts of it offensive. That's fine. It didn't bother me at all, but whatever.
Wait, there were offensive parts in it?
Well, maybe I'm saying a little. Yeah, because she deceived the main lead.
Oh no, she
no.
lied for dramatic purpose. It's not
Never saw
offensive.
that
It's not
one.
the plot. Like, offensive is like
about
someone
it.
put on blackface, like not just a character did a thing.
People got super upset at this. Like, that's why I'm bringing it up. Like, it wasn't just. I mean, some people really. But if you think about it, if you switch the gender roles for that, how often does that freaking happen in dramas?
Oh, for
All the
sure,
time.
for sure.
The male lead deceiving the female lead for like handful of episodes
I'm not a
or
big
whatever.
fan of it when it's gender flipped either. So I mean, personally, I can understand why people would have a hard time with it, but like, so then it's not your thing, and move on to a new drama.
But that was the whole plot, right? Like the plot.
Yeah, exactly.
The concept doesn't work without her lying a little. You know what I mean? And she's a very sympathetic liar. Like you feel you're on her side is all I have to say about it. Like, even though you're like, okay, yeah, that's probably not. You probably shouldn't be doing that. At the same time, you're like, okay, I get why she's doing it though.
What the forced separation is gonna be, because there's going to be the he's gonna find out she's lying moment, right?
It was funny because it actually didn't
gonna happen or whatever,
right?
Well,
it did, but it didn't last as long as you'd think it would. So like, it's not awful because it's not like, oh, they then left for a year and never texted each other for even though cell phones exist and they both have them. No, it's just like they talked out their problems and was like, okay, I'm sorry I did the thing. And he's like, I forgive you for doing the thing.
So I'm gonna relate one specific trope and scene they used because it's gonna kind of be like our game that we're gonna do later. They're both sitting outside and it's cold. And that's always like a put my hands in your pocket type situation, right? Or I'll hold your hands or whatever. He puts her hands in his armpits.
Yeah.
So they became the armpit couple. Like, that was, yeah. I mean, no one saw them do this. All the fans pretty much were like, what just happened?
Like that, yeah, so, armpits are warm, man. I get it.
Yes, but like, it was supposed to be this romantic gesture. And it was just a doofy gesture. Like, and they had a lot of that vibe to them, so like, that's fine. But it really was supposed to be this sweet thing, and it was like, oh, that took a trope and just turned it around a little bit. Like, it was a little bit of a level of ick. Like, no, that's okay. Don't need to do that.
It's a fun one. It's a fun drama, though. Like, and I was not expecting it to be good because the previews were really fucking weird. I'm gonna be honest. They were like the weirdest previews that we'd seen in a while, and they literally had nothing to do with the show. Like, even now when I'm thinking back, it's like, what did these previews had literally... But they also didn't tell you anything, so it's not like they misled you about the show. It's just they gave you nothing. There was like nothing but a feeling of, what the hell did I just watch? Like, that's all that they gave you was confusion.
We were surprised that it actually had a relatively normal plot given the preview.
we
were expecting like serial killers,
like murder or something.
Like a murder with a yacht or something, like.
Okay.
And the previews made it look very, and the write-up for it was like that she saw him murder somebody, but he doesn't remember doing it or something now, and you're like, wait, sort of, how are we getting there? Like, this, a lot.
It sort of happened, but didn't happen. There was a violent beginning, but it...
Yeah, like, I think I watched the first episode, and then I don't remember why I didn't stick with it, but... I remember watching and being like, okay, I guess that's where that came from. Oh, okay.
They definitely picked out the weirdest things to tease out of the show to like, we're gonna put this in the preview.
To really send you like a sort of false idea about what you're about to experience. The previews definitely were something. Like, I'm still thinking about it and being like, there was some cognitive dissonance between those previews, that is for sure, and like the show that we experienced. But I really enjoyed it. So if you like rom-coms, you'll probably really like it.
There's also, I was surprised by enjoying a super tropey character. I hadn't ran into one that I actually liked that much. Usually I try to kind of ignore them.
And let's be honest, Veronica Park was fucking goals.
Yeah, like,
goals.
Really funny. So she became like not really the best. Some people think the best part of the show, and that's fine, but like a very good part of the show that you enjoyed rather than rolled your eyes at too much. Like, it was like, oh, she's hilarious. I'm just going to crack up now. It's good.
Yeah. And what I like
Because usually tropey characters, like, you just kind of feel weird about them and like,
But she was like a character that I'm going to be honest that I hadn't actually seen in a K-drama before. Because she was just kind of a confident little slut who just liked having sex with dudes and didn't care if anyone.
It was not that overt.
It wasn't like she's not nude on screen or anything. But like, she had many boyfriends and was known to
have many boyfriends.
That was it, of various ethnicities, and that was what she was into, and and it drove her mother insane, and that was part of the fun. Her and her mother. Yeah, it was fun. It was a fun drama. I do have. Does anyone else have any more that they?
I have one that I can
Okay,
talk
do it.
about, yeah.
Hit us up.
So it's a drama that just aired. It's Extraordinary You.
Ah, yes.
Yeah.
I was not expecting to like that drama as much as I did. Coming into it, I thought I was going to kind of like it because the cast seemed really good. Mm-hmm, so I was like into it because of that. And literally from the first episode, it like completely threw me off. I just was not expecting that much because it's really hard for me to like super campy shows, which then translates a lot of those shows are that way. So I was prepared for it to be that way. And then it's campy, but it's done in a way that like it's just so well crafted, especially for the storyline and what's going on, because it's a girl who figures out that she's a minor, small little character in a comic book. And the episodes are just like, they're really cute and really fun, and kind of like they do play off of them being high school students. And I think they do it really well. And also high school students that are characters written for a comic.
School.
Yeah. That they constantly talk about, maybe not the best well-written comic. So like it was a really great like juxtaposition between the campiness of it being that they are characters in this comic, and then like when she's off stage, like her transition into like becoming her own person. It was just really fun to watch. It was really fun to like kind of follow the story as it unfolded too, because it threw some surprises and it threw some different things that I was just not expecting a show like that to do. So I wasn't expecting it to be as great as it was. And I just like enjoyed it the entire time I was watching it. It was like the one show that I like kept up mostly like within a couple of days or even day of. And I enjoyed, like up until the last second of the last episode, I enjoyed it and just had fun with it too. Like it was just a lot of fun. Like
and
a fun.
It was pretty.
Yeah.
Oh, so pretty.
And the cast just did so well. They were such good actors, young actors. So that was fun to watch too, because you know that they're going to continue to keep on going, because they're, like a couple of them have already gotten
past the next thing. And
yeah, or like, the lead in Extraordinary You was in the Sky Castle, so she already was known for that type thing. It's fun to know that like you'll keep seeing them and know that they're going to be good in what like the next show that they're going to be in.
Side note for that, I watched an interview with Lee Jae-wook, and he said that at first he was considered for the role of Haru.
Oh wow.
Which I've been pondering that, and I think that's like really interesting, and it would have been really fun to see him in that role. But
that would have been different.
And I think his next role is going to be like more friendly and stuff, so he's he's a little bit concerned about showing like really that side of himself. So
yeah.
But so I thought that was really interesting. And then he also talked about how Rowoon was he's the opposite of Haru, so he got a kick out of that. So every time the cameras would stop, how Rowoon like totally different and stuff.
I will say that you could tell I really I enjoy when a cast has fun with each other too, and you could tell because it was like constantly they were throwing up like behind the scenes videos, and they were all just like hanging out. I mean, like the entire cast, it's a huge cast because like they have all these like, you know, minor characters, but the minor characters are in almost every single episode with at least one line.
Yeah.
So it's like pretty huge. You like know who these people are. They were always just having so much fun, or like just like Rowan and EJ look just like towering over her. It'd be like they're like 2 feet taller, and then they would just do stuff, or then they would like fake pretend that they were angry with each other because she would like go over to one instead of the other.
Yeah, go be jealous.
Yeah, jealous.
Yep.
But then they'd like go off with each other, and you're like, you guys.
That's cute.
Also, they were good at mimicking her. They made fun of her because she has a certain way of talking, and so they would always mimic how she would talk.
And there's like this really sweet moment. They're in the classroom, and she's doing one of her like main monologues where she's doing her kind of talk thing where she's like very upbeat and she's very positive and she's in her character of the comic book. So she's like just going on and on for like probably a minute straight, just like without a breath, and she's just like really bumbling, really like happy, and then she stops and then they say cut, and everybody just freaks out because of how good she was doing this like monologue. It was a great show. I just like had so much fun with it. Like that's I think the biggest thing out of that show was that it was just a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah, I'm gonna binge it over Christmas. It's my Christmas plans is binging it because y'all were talking it up.
I think another one for me is also one that I just finished was Level Up with Sung Hoon, who, you know, you always know you're going to enjoy watching Sung Hoon, but like, you know, and he's delightful. Like I think he is a very underrated actor. Like I think a lot of people think he's just a pretty face, but he's actually quite a good actor, and his comedic timing is fantastic, and he's willing to look dumb. He's willing to make a fool of himself. Yeah. And Level Up is just perfect peak Sung Hoon. Like he is making fun of himself, but he's still grounded in like a real character. And like there's tragedy to it. Like his mom died when he's young, and basically the show kind of starts off with his dad dying, and so now he's alone except for this stepbrother that he kind of hates because I don't know, just he was jealous that his dad made a new life or whatever. And so he's very much that, like everything about the drama just screams typical old-fashioned K-drama, like rom-com tropes. He's going to be the cold, mean boss, and she's the bubbly, cute employee, and, you know, hijinks ensue. But, like, he's cold, but he's not mean. And, like, when he is mean, it's to people who deserve it. Like, he's mean to mean people. He's nice to nice people. And he'll speak the truth to people, and he might not sugarcoat it, but he's not, like,
cruel.
He's not cruel. And he, like, has friends. And he has, like, he knows, like, possibly his biggest problem is that he doesn't know how to really, like, turn down people or let people down. So, like, the second female lead is in love with him, and he knows she is, but he knows he's not in love with her, but he really values her friendship. So he never really shuts it down because he doesn't want to hurt her, and he doesn't want to lose the friendship because he's, you know, alone. He winds up making choices that kind of, even though his words are saying, like, I'm not into you, he's making choices that kind of lead her on or lead her to believe that maybe he is into her. Like, and she's a great character. Like, she's a little bit, she goes off the deep end at times, but she always reels it back in. Like, you think, it's one of those dramas where every time they do the scene with the trope, and you're like, oh, here we go. It's going to be Jack, you know, the jealous second female lead, or it's going to be the this scene or the that, and it is until it's not. Like, all of it, like, you're like, oh, here it comes, and then it's like she realizes, yeah, I'm being that horrible person, and I should stop being that horrible person and like do my job because I'm good at my job, so I should just do my job and not let my feelings like mess this up, or, you know, things like that. Or like, you think he storms out angry, And no, because the employees are at the team dinner are like, oh, we want you to sing karaoke. Yeah, boss, sing karaoke. And he's like, no, and he leaves, and you think, oh, cold, angry boss, and he stormed off. No, he just went, he like is really good friends with this like super popular idol group, and he went and like called them and had them set up a stage in the street, and then he like does a whole dance number with them for the employees. Like, and it's hilarious, and you're just like, what is going on? Like, and all the employees are like, what just happened here? Like, that's the boss? Like, why is he doing that? And Sung-hoon just throws himself into all of it, like, and it's so good. And then, like, there were moments where I was tearing up, too, because, I mean, ultimately, you're dealing with a bunch of kids who have, like, she's lost her mom, and she's lost her brother, and he's lost his mom and his dad, and, and he's looking after his high school stepbrother who's lost both of his parents, and so you're dealing with a lot of like orphans and stuff, so like there's emotion and things going on. And so for as much as I laughed, I also like teared up more than I would have expected to for how silly the drama was. It also touched me emotionally, so I just found it really enjoyable. And it's only 12 episodes, and it was an easy watch. It was enjoyable. Everything, I thought the pacing all worked. Everything worked exactly as it should. I had a little scare in episode 12, like the final episode where like 2/3 of the way through and something happens and they show a flashback and you're like, did they just surprise serial killer me? Like,
it's fine.
So
fine.
I wonder if they knew they were red herring that, like if they knew.
Yeah, they just did it like as purposeful thing.
Just
that
was
funny.
Mess with your
they obviously knew that about tropes. Like they obviously played with tropes, so like it makes you wonder if they're like, we're gonna do this in the end.
It was just a fun, enjoyable watch, easy. I laughed, I cried. Sung-hoon was pretty.
Oh, Sung-hoon.
Oh, Sung-hoon, he's so pretty. Sister and I were like, oh, what are we going to watch together next? And she's like, well, what other Sung-hoon things are? Because our last one was picked up a celebrity. So she's like,
which was another surprisingly good one that I wasn't expecting. That show took you on a wild ride through plot.
Talia's always trying to make me watch that Weekender with him in it.
5 children. 5 children.
I'm trying to think of what else is like out that you could watch. Because the one that's the bet.
Oh my Venus.
Noble, my love.
Have you not watched Oh My Venus?
Oh yeah, he's in Oh My Venus too. He's not like the main character, but he's in it.
You've seen it, right? You've seen Oh My Venus.
Yeah.
I was thinking of things that you hadn't seen for your lineup.
Well, I love that we all like were paused there. We're like, yeah, we did we? Are we crazy?
Can't say my squares on my screen are. It looks like she's talking to Sky to me. Like it looks like she's looking at Sky. So
like Sky, have you seen it?
No, I'm looking straight at you. You're the lone square in mine, with me hovering over you.
So that was kind of why I was like, I guess I could watch it again, but I don't really want to. So, I mean, not that there's any wrong with Oh My Venus.
You could just do his scenes. His scenes.
Look up on YouTube the Sung-hoon cut. Oh My Venus Sung-hoon cut. I'm sure it exists somewhere.
And Henry. That's all it would be.
So it just be Sung-hoon like beating himself up and Henry being hilarious, and that's it. That's the whole show.
I mean, that sounds great to me. That's
like
a
pretty
cut.
solid show, gonna be honest.
Yeah. Henry is not silly in enough, like he's not in enough dramas.
I know. He's such a good comedic relief in just in life and existence.
Yeah.
Also, just little side note, you can totally cut this out. That video where he plays Faded on 2 pianos at the same time.
Just too much. Like, he's too talented that you just want to scream. Like, you're like, stop it.
Stop it. Max was like, so he's basically Mozart, but better. Is like what we're saying here. It's like Mozart with more skills.
And put into K-pop.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing that sticks out for me the most about Oh My Venus is the Christmas party scene where like he's playing his violin, but he's playing the the theme song for the show, but like it's a Christmas Carol kind of thing. And I'm like, oh, that's a nice that's not a Christmas Carol.
Wait a second.
Oh, Henry.
Henry. Oh my goodness. He's the best.
And didn't you have another one, Natalia?
Oh, I did. Finally, we go to the beautiful land of Thailand, in which I watched the show Sand Princess, which I was expecting to be just terrible, because a lot of GMM TV shows are just terrible, but like in a fun way. Like, they're terrible but enjoyable. Like, you know, like you're just like, oh, this is so bad that it's good. But this one was actually just straight up good. And I was like, real world. So it's the basic plot. I think I've told you about this before. Yeah, I've definitely talked about this show before. Because someone said that they watched it based on me talking about it on Twitter. So for those who are new, Sand Princess is on YouTube for free. It's a Thai show. Whereupon a guy gets a girl pregnant, but the girl runs off. So he pays his best friend, who's this poor orphan girl, to pretend to be the mom and raise the baby for him. But then, to prevent his fiance from finding out, because his fiance's father invested in his older brother's company, his older brother decides to marry her and pretend that the baby is his. Meanwhile, thinking that it's her baby and she had an affair with his younger brother. Okay, so I saw that plot and I was like, this is going to be the worst. But it was actually, like, really good. And it's not a long drama. Like, you can watch it, like, in, like, an afternoon. Like, it's not long at all. And it's just very heartwarming. And there's a cute little kid in it. And, like, then you have this woman who's just a total virgin trying to seduce her husband, who thinks that she's in love with his brother, who's getting married to his ex-girlfriend. Like, it's a whole mess. It's a whole dysfunction. And then you've got, like, the aunt who raised the brothers, who's, like, all disappointed in the older brother for, like, taking advantage of this sweet young orphan who just hiding this baby from her for years. Because, like, the kid's, like, 3. And so it's just like, you're like, what is happening? Like, it is a wild ride. It is so good. Like, but not good. But good.
Okay.
Enjoyable.
For those who watch GMM TV stuff, it's about as good as a GMM TV show gets. So, take that for what you will.
Some of them are pretty good, so...
Love was good, even though it definitely enraged pretty much everyone except for me, because I was just like, I love it. And everyone else was like, I hate that my character, he's such a dick. And I'm like, I know, that's part of the fun. He's a slutty little fuckboy. Let's go! Yeah, so, you know, actually, the whole of GMM TV, like, they're a lot of pretty bad shows, but, like, enjoyably bad, and they always have the most obvious product placement that's just, like, painful to watch, but you're like, you get that money. Yeah, you share that iced tea. Like, you gotta get that Oishi money. Not sponsored. But, like, yeah, it's great. Speaking of sponsored, if you would love to sponsor this podcast, because we are an independent podcast who at this moment has no corporate sponsors, you can go to ko-fi.com/certifiednunas in order to send us a coffee and support us. And when you do, you get access to all sorts of behind the scenes nonsense that gets cut out of the main podcast. Yeah, it's a good time. It's a good time, everyone. I know I say it every week. You're probably tired of me, but I'm non-contractually obligated to do. And
she's just doing this on her own. We tell her to do this.
I started my segueing a while ago, and now I just can't be stopped. And for, you know, anyone out there who might be a corporate sponsor trolling for new podcasts to look to, I hope you really enjoyed that fire segue, because I could be pimping your product. This could be your segue for our hundreds of listeners. Our tens of listeners. We love everyone who listens to the podcast. Really, y'all are the real MVPs.
Now, we're gonna play a game.
Well, it's not so much a game. We're going to have a thought experiment.
You're making it sound much deeper than it is.
Right.
We're not that way. We're not smart here.
Like the serious part of the podcast. It's like the fun part is over. Now we're getting serious and fixing the entertainment industry. We're gonna sort of play a game. It's a little game called Trope Rehab that we just invented 5 minutes before the podcast started, in which we will shout out a trope and then talk about how it could be subverted in a fun way, perhaps in the next year. If anyone writing a drama out there wants to steal it, please do. Please steal our ideas.
Instead of money after that.
It's put our stuff on Twitter or something, give us some free promo.
Right. Like free real estate, dudes. Like we're just giving it away. Yeah. All right, who's got a trope that they just wish would be changed?
Truck of Doom.
The Truck of Doom.
Oh. Good old.
But then I was like, I don't know how you change that one.
Like, okay, well, if we're going in a comedic way, you turn the truck into something stupid.
Like an ice cream truck?
Yeah, like reverse, you know how like in those chase scenes there's always like a fruit seller that's like getting their day just totally ruined?
Yeah.
So like reverse that. Make the fruit seller be the one just ruining the day. Everywhere they turn, a fruit seller just pushes out from the alleyway and they have to like jump over it and subvert it. Go around. I actually did see there was a drama that did attempt to subvert the Truck of Doom, and I don't think they were trying to be funny, but it was hilarious. And I speak now of the drama Black Knight, The Man Who Guards Me, which is up there with probably one of the worst dramas I've ever seen, whereupon there's like someone about to get hit by a car, and the girl is trying to get him to move out of the way. So first she throws she has like a pan with her. So she throws a pan at him to like try to like knock the guy off the motorcycle that's coming for him. And then she like kicks a kid off of the bike that he's riding and picks up the bike and throws it at like the motorcyclist who's like coming in for like a motorcycle situation. And like it was not played off as like a comedy, but I'm pretty sure everyone watching it lost their minds laughing. There's no way to watch that and not laugh hysterically.
Wasn't it you, Nat, who was posting just like last week or something about one where it was like Truck of Doom and like he tried to pull her out of the way and it ended up in an accidental kiss or something too?
Oh, now we're just stacking them. Yeah. Well, yeah, it was from a C drama that it was like on the preview of or something.
Oh, and yeah.
And it was like they're just like going all out, like they're just stacking tropes to like make new tropes. Where
I guess that's like the only good reason to have a wrist grab is a Truck of Doom coming.
Yeah. Or like something similar. Now, you know what I don't see enough of? Lady wrist grabs. Like women wrist grabbing dudes. That's a fun.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say women wrist grabbing women,
which
is
now we're just talking about
WW.
Now we're just talking about like lesbian dramas, and I think that there should be more of those as well. But like, I mean, just like girls straight up wrist grabbing dudes in like this sort of the same way, but like see, it will be played off very differently, right? Because there's no power dynamic in gender roles where women come out on top, especially not in Korean society. Oh, I'm getting too deep. Back it up, Natalia.
I was just thinking with wrist grab though, what was that one? There was one this year that where they didn't wrist grab. He kept grabbing. He'd grab her sleeve, like just the corner of her sleeve. She was drunk.
Still 17?
Oh, yes, I think it was.
Yes, it was the polite.
And it was like, I need to get you to come with me, but I'm not going to wrist grab you. I'm just going to hold your sleeve and like, please come this way. Like,
This is a very sweet one.
That's what I do to get my husband's attention. I pull on the back of his sleeve. I'm like, hey, it's me, your little wife. I'm short, not me. Yeah, no, that's a nice way of doing that one. Politeness.
I was thinking for the Truck of Doom thing, 2 comedic options would be if someone is knocked to the ground and like a truck's coming, they just stay on the ground and they end up in between the wheels and the truck just goes over them.
Pull a whole like Toy Story on them. We're like,
yeah, so like, and then they just kind of stand up like, what's up? Like, they're fine. And then like similarly, like maybe they just at the very last moment step back and step out of the way, but like the people on the other side watching the truck don't know that yet until the truck's passed.
Yeah.
And then they're just standing there, oh, no, I'm fine. So like, you do all the dramatic part of it.
Or you think that it's actually coming, but it's really not. It like starts to slow down and stops at the red light perfectly. You're like, go.
Oh, never mind.
Just they're just following the rules.
Completely road. Like they show it and it's like, no, oh no, but it's like, in the other lane. Like it's just
or that scene from Austin Powers with the steamroller thing or whatever, and he's like, ah! And it's like slowly coming toward you. They're like, move, just walk a little bit.
That scene is probably like just that made that movie for me, by the way. Like I wasn't even that into it, and then that scene happened. I was like,
wrist grabs in general in recent years, wrist grabs really haven't bugged me quite as much because they're usually not as aggressive as they were in the older.
Mm-hmm.
But like an Extraordinary You, a lot of wrist grabs, but it was because they're tropey high school characters. So like it really that was.
And it was like, I think it was intentional because it was always the written when they were on stage was when the wrist grabs were really happening a lot.
That's when it was written within the comic book. It wasn't like when they were being themselves or whatever.
And it's like there's definitely like a difference when it's like still annoying, but like if the character is actually mean, it's not that to say that the wrist grab is good, but there's a reason behind it. It's not just like this like random who's like supposed to be really nice and then all of a sudden it's like, you're mine, bye. That's when it gets really weird. You're like, but that doesn't fit with your character either. Like
it sort of reminded me of what I to this day think must be a mistranslation, where we were talking about Oh My Venus, where they have their first kiss. And basically, like, the way it was translated was, like, real rapey. Like, because he just plays this nice character who just wants to help her be healthy. And suddenly he's like, I own you, so you can't say no. And I'm like, this feels like a mistranslation. Like, I don't.
It felt very, your body is mine. And it's
like the context is not right here.
But also, it was, like, not working with him because he's like, even when he was, like, training her, he was getting her to do this stuff. Like, he was, like, encouraging her to be her own independent person to do, like, to be the one to, like, create her.
It was, like, to this day, I think that must have been a just poorly translated, like, devoid of context, like, an idiom of some sort that, like, doesn't quite translate.
It's the only thing they could translate it to.
Yeah, and I just remember my mom being like, ugh, and I was like, no, mom, it's a mistranslation. Like, that's, like,
ignore it.
No, like, this is consensual. Don't worry about it. Yeah,
the first time I watched a Saguk, and he says, you're my person, or something like that, and I was like, just the way he said it, and I was like, why is she your person? Like, it wasn't even it felt slavey, like,
yeah, it was like recently,
but then I hear you're my person a lot, and you realize it's a phrase, it's a
it's like fate.
You belong to each other kind of thing.
Yeah,
like,
we belong together, not you belong.
Yeah,
exactly. Like recently there was a pretty bad mistranslation on a Thai show on Tharn Type, where basically what should have been translated was, you're my lover, but for some reason they chose to translate it as you're my bitch, and we were like, no. And it was like really out of character. like the character who was saying it. So like everyone was like, what the fuck is this? Like that's not what he said. And like we all knew what the word was because it's like a very common word that's like a gender non-specific word that means like boyfriend, girlfriend, lover, partner, whatever. And so we're just like, no, that's not right at all. He was not being aggressive.
I did want to say about wrist grabs also, sometimes I think it's a cultural thing. And I'm not meaning the aggressive ones. I'm meaning the ones that seem like nice wrist grabs.
Mm-hmm.
To me, it's because they don't think it's polite to grab the hand. Like, because that's too intimate.
Mhm.
Like, they think it's actually better to not take ownership of, like, the intimacy of the hand.
Exactly.
But, like, I really am trying to just move you. Therefore, I'm grabbing just your arm, like, not your hand.
Yeah.
To me, sometimes I think that, I'm not saying that that's all wrist grabs, but sometimes I just think it's a cultural thing that to us, yeah, if in America someone went and grabbed your wrist, you'd be like, what the heck? And you would probably punch them. Like, it just doesn't work
It's
here.
also kind of like more of a technique to convey like the importance of the character wanting to stop the other person that like you probably wouldn't get elsewhere. Like it wouldn't translate as well as like actors doing it like with this like big specific significant thing. It's kind of almost like when someone will like run to like go in front of a door to stop someone. Like it's kind of like it's a grand gesture that like is heightened
and done in slow motion and swelling music and all this stuff.
Oh, drama. Yeah.
So what's another trope
that needs help? Accidental kisses. Oh boy.
Oh, I can't think of a one that's good.
With the exception of the Truck of Doom accidental kiss. That one was pretty good.
The one, it was poorly done in my opinion, but the one in Bring It On Ghost, because it furthered plot. Like it wasn't just an accidental kiss. It was necessary to like, for her to realize that like, hey, something's different about that guy. And like, so she followed him home, you know, like without it, you don't get her, you know, deciding that she needs to like follow him around trying to get him to kiss her so that she can like regain her memory or whatever. It served a purpose. It wasn't just, oops, we kissed. Like,
I just found, here we are.
Despite the fact that like we all kind of hate accidental kisses, I 100% wrote one into one of my fics because of course I fucking did. But it was because we were talking about it where we wanted to add all of the terrible tropes that we loved so much. So it had it all. It's got the accidental kiss. It's got it starts out with the Truck of Doom, like good times. But I don't even know how you would rehab an accidental kiss.
I think the worst accidental kiss is, and I think it was in both Fabulous Boys and You're Beautiful, if I remember right. Near the beginning, the main girl chick who's, you know, cross-dressed like a guy, she gets drunk really bad. Anyway, pretty much falls onto the tsundere lead guy.
Oh, yes, of course.
So accidental kiss, but then immediately throws up into his mouth. Like there's no charming aspect to this whatsoever.
I wish I was about to tell you something, and I'm not gonna say his name because he would kill me if he knew I was putting this on the internet, but that happened to a friend of mine. A drunk girl kissed him at a party and then vomited in his mouth. Oh. And the worst part is he's gay, so he didn't want any of that. Like it was all sorts of like just no. I was like, if I had witnessed that, I was like, buddy, I would have then vomited directly on you as well, because I cannot see people vomit like in real life and like not then vomit, like
and we don't need to get that deep into it, but like,
oh no, that's bad. That's bad.
That's like that's the paramount like
I'll be honest, that's a way to change it up, but is it a good way to change it up?
Well, I mean, I can see the,
also-
like, being drunk and then just kissing someone, like, you just, like, naturally like the person and you're drunk, so you're not thinking clearly. So that is, like, an accidental kiss that I could, like, stand behind, I guess.
I can get behind that.
Yeah.
Or, like,
'Cause,
not
like,
recognizing them, thinking they're someone else, and then kissing them because you're
Yes.
drunk.
That's also a good one. But I don't want this, like, oh no, I tripped, and then suddenly our faces match.
Oh, I was putting up these curtains, and then I'm
And when
falling.
you get angry over that, it's like they trip and they fall and they kiss, and then she's like, they stole my first kiss, and you're like, no,
That's
no,
not a
they
kiss, okay?
didn't. That's not.
Listen, that was
That's not a
just
kiss.
That was just an accidental brushing. I'm like, there was no tongue.
They
That
also-
wasn't a kiss. That was a peck at best.
They have to do that stupid thing where it's like 20 seconds of the girl going, oh, and then falling. And you're like,
And then another 20 seconds of them both staring wide-eyed at each other, going, we're kissing, and we don't want to be kissing, and why am I still kissing you? And you're like,
Okay,
that's
like,
fine.
I hate
you're
to
like,
say,
you're both 30, shut up.
like, if you don't want to be kissing, you would have just stepped back and said, oh, my bad, I tripped. Like, you wouldn't just stand there with your faces mashed together this long. Like, come on, this is a bad trope. So what we're saying is accidental kisses only when you accidentally kiss someone thinking they're someone else, or you're drunk or something of this nature. I like it. I like it. See, that's the only way this works. Otherwise, it's just you just tripped.
Yeah.
And also, like, the bad accidental kisses, they never should mean anything emotionally. The fact that often within the plot, all of a sudden, the emotions are then awakened. It's like, come on, guys.
No.
Oh,
Like, really? That's
Oh,
bad.
you know where you see that a lot? Boy Love dramas. They
Yeah, you're right, though.
like, now it's like, oh my, I kissed a boy. I guess I'm gay. And you're like, you trip.
Not
Like,
how it
I
works.
You're like, okay, if this is what convinces you that you were gay, you were probably already sort of thinking it on the inside already. You know what I mean?
Right.
You know what? I saw there was, okay, this is one of my favorite movies, and I'm about to shame myself by admitting that this is one of my favorite movies. But the movie She's the Man, I thought, had sort of a funny, almost accidental kiss, where I forget what it was, it like a cockroach or something on the floor, and both Amanda Bynes, dressed in drag, and Channing Tatum are like jumping on the bed and hugging, and then their faces like get real close as they're like screaming because there's like a bug or spider or something, I forget what, mouse or something, and then like they're like they almost kiss, and then they're like, whoa. Like, that was a funny one where they're like, oh god, I'm sorry bro, my bad. Like, that was a funny almost accidental kiss, but like you just tripped. It's not.
And that's the thing. It's like, even bad accidental kisses, they shouldn't signify anything. It's like, even in luckily in Your Beautiful and Fabulous Boys, the weird, awkward vomit kiss, it doesn't mean anything. Like, no one emotionally after that cares, other than him being mad at her. Like, that's it. It's not, oh, we care now.
Him being mad
Somebody vomits in your mouth.
is an appropriate response to someone vomiting in your mouth.
But it's not the girl going, oh, like, oh, that was an emotional thing.
It's the girl going, oh, shit, I vomited in his mouth, my bad. Like, whoops.
That's pretty much what it was.
Which should be the only real response to vomiting in someone's mouth. Should be like, oh, Jesus, I didn't mean to vomit in your mouth. I am so sorry.
I guess on top of that, I forgot to mention, he's unconscious.
Oh, it's even worse.
And he
It's
doesn't die?
Somehow, like, during this accident where she was falling, like, he got knocked out, like, in the process of this, or maybe, like, as he fell or something. So, like, he wasn't cognizant when it happened, just, like, the aftermath of it and being told about it and stuff.
Well,
he's a germaphobe, so he probably would have, like,
died.
or maybe that's why he passed out. I think that was why he passed out. He's germaphobe. The vomiting happened. They're like, he couldn't handle it. And
well, at least he had some bros there to turn him over to make sure he doesn't aspirate on someone else's vomit
Right.
when he's passed out. That's true friendship right there. Though I will say, You're Beautiful does have one of my favorite Despite the fact that I don't actually consider it that good of a drama, like it's enjoyable, but it's not like really good. But it does have one of my favorite scenes, which is the fan fiction scene, in which Lee Hong-gi's character is reading the newest fan fiction that like someone wrote, like the gay fan fiction, and it like goes to like, it's like it blends out, and suddenly it's like they looked at each other across the piano and was like, no, we cannot be together. And then she's like, what are you doing? He's like, oh, I'm reading the next episode of like the fan fiction that they wrote about me. And I was like, oh no, I bet they actually do this, because I'm gonna be honest.
Top management too.
Yeah, they do that.
Yeah,
that cracked me up.
If I were a celebrity that people was writing fan fiction about, you best believe I would have a secret account on like AO3 or Wattpad, like reading these nasty ass fan fictions and being like, girl, creative, like nice. Like y'all think that like Rap Monster isn't out there like secretly reading all of these nasty fan fictions in English and like laughing to himself? Like, you bet he is. You think that Chanyeol and Baekhyun aren't on there reading all this? No, they're reading it. They know.
Well, there was that, what was it, like a live or something, where they're like, oh my god, like, Dio, did you see the fanfic? He's reading Kaisu fanfic, and Kai's like, yeah, I sent it to him. Because
it's hilarious. Like, I would be sending it to all of my friends too. I'd be like, hey, yeah, check out what I'm up to in this person's imagination today. Like, I would get a real kick out of it. Mind you, like, I was reading some fanfic. Sometimes I cannot. I was telling you guys this earlier, but I'm going to tell all the world. I'm not going to put anyone on blast for their fanfiction, but there's just certain times where I cannot suspend my disbelief so far. And
there are definitely ones that shouldn't have been written and are actually not okay.
No. Yeah. There was one where, like, Jimin played, like, a homophobic bully who was, like, bullying Yoongi, and I was like, I don't think so. And then another one had like Park Bo Gum playing a bully, and I was like, okay.
Listen.
No. Like, I can go so far. Like, I thought Jimin was pretty bad as like a bully, but Park Bo Gum, like, no. I'm out.
Like, I understand the idea of writing fan fiction and not using the characters like as the people that they are. Like, then you're just using a name. Like, you're not
right.
That's not fan fiction anymore.
A story.
Yeah, just write a name. Like, no, but I was just like, no. Actually, that fan fiction had a lot of problems with it. Like, but it was that where I was like, I think I'm done with this one. Like, this is just, this just doesn't make sense anymore.
I watched Park Bo Gum. He was the main announcer at Mama last night, and yeah, there's no way he's any of.
Yeah, no, there's no way.
If anyone ever tells about him, is like
he's tried so hard, because he'd say something in Korean. He didn't do this each time, but definitely when he introduced himself, say it in Korean, say it in English, say it in Japanese. It was like, you go, boy, you go. Like, it was really cute.
He's just so sweet. And then you hear all these stories like, oh yes, he was like helping the makeup artist because, she like they were 5 minutes behind schedule, so he's like cleaning her brushes for her, or like he made everyone lunch, and like you're just like, of course he did, but no, like
we draw the line.
And him as like as a
not
bully.
A bully.
Yeah, like I was like, no, a bully who wanted to like take advantage sexually the main character. I was like, no. Like,
no, we're cutting that one off.
I'm out. Like, no, that's no. Mm-mm. No.
Do we have another trope we want to do?
Okay, I got one. The forced separation from where no one has sex.
Oh, maybe that's gonna be hard.
Maybe just text.
Or, no, here it is. For separation, they don't get back together. So it was the person's choice, and it doesn't matter if the audience wanted them together. They're allowed to not be together. Done.
Yeah.
Even if you think they're the perfect couple, it doesn't matter.
Yeah,
like,
forced separation actually being a breakup.
Just the separation.
they're just done. Or if forced separation was like actually forced separation, not just like one of them just leaving for no fucking reason. Like, one of them is being held against their will, and that is why can't contact the other person, but the other person thinks they just left them. Like, that's forced separation.
Like Descendants of the Sun.
Island. Like, crash landed on a desert island. You know, like, okay. And you were stuck there for 5 years before, like, somebody rescued you.
Yeah, you got, like, Camp Crisco.
Or you had to go help a family member who was dying.
And, like, marry somebody else now. Like, I don't... That's the thing I don't get, that concept of, like... And it's been 5 years, and they're still in love, and they haven't contacted each other.
Like, I don't move on after a couple months. Like, I'm gonna be honest.
Okay, no, how about it's forced separation, but they still, like, contact each other. You still see all the notes that they send each other. They Skype a lot. Like, so they're, like, separately, they're in 2 different places for a very long time, but they've been talking to each other pretty regularly.
Yeah.
Like, if you're gonna have a forced separation, there has to be a damn good reason why they can't contact each other. Like,
and not just
be like held in prison somewhere. Like, otherwise, there's like just get a
they're just done.
Like, like
just call it off.
Just like if they can't text and it's like a modern era, like what? You can text.
Or don't call it a forced separation when they actually meant that they actually, like, broke up and then they're gonna get back together. Like, I think that's also a problem too. Dramas, like, present themselves as their forced separation, but really it's not a forced separation. It's them calling it quits. But, you know, because the things that have to happen in a drama to keep everybody happy, they're gonna get back together. So,
but
focus on it being an actual fake.
That just reminded me of an old movie, a classic American film called An Affair to Remember. Where, like, there was a car accident and they were knocked out and there was, no cell phones. There was no way to contact the other. Like, crud happens. Like, that's okay. And then, like, a few years later, there's lingering feelings. I accept that. I accept old school stuff like that.
Yeah.
But
sure.
Yeah. These days, no, man, no.
Y'all can just look someone up on the internet. There's no reason why you lose touch unless they've gone off the grid. Like, I can find anyone I went to high school with in like 5 minutes or less.
All
Not
four
that I
of us
want
are in
to.
different areas, in different time zones, in different countries, and we can put out a podcast every week.
Right.
Someone can text someone, okay?
Like, no. You can send an email. Just send a regular letter. Like, you can do this.
Every other day, freaking Twitter is going, hey, do you want to, like, connect with all your contacts in your phone on the...
And I'm like, I would not, like...
I don't.
No.
Listen, there's
like,
something
clearly...
I don't want to do. It's doing all the contacts in my phone on my Twitter. No, thank you.
Clearly you don't know how anybody works on Twitter. Like
has anyone ever selected get to this? Like, no one listen, no one on Dan Twitter wants to add their moms to their Twitter accounts, okay? Are you kidding me? Like,
regular Twitter wants to do that. Like, they're like, no.
I don't need my family to know what I'm up to on the regular. They think I'm a nice
your
girl.
dentist's office, blah, blah, blah. It's like...
No, like, my family thinks that I'm a nice, sweet girl. They don't see, well, except for Shanta. Shanta knows. Shanta's my sister, the one who's the watercolor painter. She knows what's up. She sees my tweets. But other than that, they just think I'm a nice girl who just loves Korean music, and that's all they need to know. All they need. We had a slight brush up when my mom found out I published a novel, and then told all her friends I published a novel, and I was like, Mom, please don't. And she told all her friends she bought them all copies. It was a werewolf smut. I published a werewolf fuck book, and Mom gave it to all of her church friends. So don't tell your families anything is what I'm getting at here. Just keep your private life and your family life separate.
That's the fourth separation you can have.
Unless you're in a forced separation. Then let Twitter find that person for you.
I just got compartmentalizing your life. Like, I don't need, my clients to know what I get up to. Although if I feel my Twitter, they'd find me dragging along their wedding, so I never name names. They still know. But I never name names, so that's fine. So yeah, those are some bad tropes. We wish they were good.
Are there any super common, so we did talk about a lot of tropes, but are there any tropes that are really common, these days specifically, that we've been seeing pop up more or still occur a lot that we're like, wait, because I think a lot of them have either phased out or have changed a little bit, because dramas have changed.
Do you consider a trope, knowing each other when they were young?
Yeah, but then forgetting?
Yeah. Or coming back together, and they always have a connection because they knew each other when they were 3. Yeah.
It could work if it's if there's a background where it's they keep crossing paths and having a connection. That's the only way it works. But if you look at something Her Private Life or whatever, where it was just suddenly she doesn't remember that they lived together.
There was a guy who lived with them for a year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes no fucking sense.
Well, there was a traumatic event.
Yeah, I know there was a traumatic event, but and also that whole I'm gonna be honest, that whole backstory
it didn't need to be there.
It didn't need to be there, and it was very out of character for everyone involved in it.
Yeah.
So you're just okay. Otherwise, the drama was A+, but then there was that, and I was and it only lasted one episode. It was they just dealt with it for half an episode, and then they were and we're done. And I was just what? What? Or Secretary Kim had the whole wow, we were why? There was no
that. Well,
that was just fucked up, guys.
Well.
That whole plot mess.
You had that in conjunction with the weird brother thing. There
was too much going on. But you can have it could be done really well. Sort of they keep crossing paths at important junctures in their lives, and then eventually realize that they're meant to be. That's a fun way of doing it.
But 12 nights.
Somebody I know is watching While You Were Sleeping, and she's childhood trope, and I was no, wait for it.
Yeah.
This one makes sense. This one's part of the plot. It's not just they met there as kids. No, you gotta keep going. And she's yeah, but I already know they and it was no.
Oh, you think you know?
For it. This one's good. You're gonna like this one.
You see, and I like when that happens because it sort of subverts your expectations when you're watching a show where you're oh, I think I know where this is gonna go, and then it doesn't go where you think it's gonna go, and you're thank you, drama god, for giving me something new.
What's kind of funny though is we've all become highly aware of all the tropes. So what's that Christmas movie that's coming out or is out already? The one where I was he's totally a ghost.
Oh, the one with Henry Golding.
Oh.
Yeah, we're he dead.
We're done.
From 30 seconds into the preview, we're oh, so he's dead. Okay. Cool.
Move on.
Go. Good to know.
Yeah.
Another one that is, this is more specific to BL dramas, and it just fucking drives me nuts, is I'm only gay for this one person. And I'm okay, that's not really, I don't think that's how it works, but okay, I think you're probably just a little bit gay.
Well, it just it also stems into that thing where there's not level or different sexuality, so it's you could just be pan or like, why does it have to just be gay or not? Like, I think that's the, like, biggest issue with that.
Yeah,
like,
where it's just like, it's like, I have never found any other man remotely attractive, ever. No part of them. Nothing. But you? Come here. Give me the D. Like, no! Like, you probably have found other men attractive, just did not admit it to yourself, and that's okay! Like, it's complex.
The racism trope, too, right? Like, where... in Western drama, where somebody's super racist until they meet the right black person, right?
Yeah,
and you're like,
okay.
No,
like,
that's not
this one black person.
Nice black people in their lives. They're just a racist. Like, it's not how
like, you get. It's like, and it's also not up to this like one black person to show you that racism is bad. Like, which is sort of like the problem I have right now with Tharn type, where it's like the main character. Okay, like, it makes sense. Like, you can understand his motivations for why he's a dick to gay people. Like, you don't have to agree with them, but like, he was molested as a child by a man, and so he's like, it's grown into like he hates gay people, even though like he doesn't hate gay people because he meets lots of gay people and is friends with them until he finds out that they're gay, and then he hates them, but then he falls in love with a man. But like, they're sort of treating it like it's his boyfriend's job to like
cure him.
Like, gay people aren't bad. It's like, no, like, it's really not his job.
Yeah.
Like,
and
like, no.
Flip side of that, no one should be in a relationship with someone like that. Like, the other character, you should never choose to be with someone like that.
This show is the most problematic show I have ever watched in my life. I don't know why I like it so much, but like the character who's like out and gay, like the boyfriend Tharn, is like the nicest dude too, and like puts all the effort in, and you're just like, why? This guy does not deserve this level of like kindness and affection that you are granting him. Like, he's like, I want you to be my parents. Like, I want us to move in together. I want us to be in love. And the other guy's like, okay, like, I guess we fucking. And you're just like, no, like, this is a very unbalanced relationship. Why do I like this show? Why? Why do I like it? It's like, oh wait, I remember Mew's hands.
It's the hand thing.
The main character's hands are. Whew. Oh, ladies. They're too much. They're too much for old Natalia. Where's these thumb rings to? Oh.
I was thinking, Sky, you asked earlier about tropes that seem to be getting phased out or changed, and I think a big one is the like the glass of water, the throwing water in somebody's face. Mm-hmm. Like, it doesn't seem to happen as much, and when it does, it's very specific. Like, the girl sits down and she hands the mother-in-law the glass of water. Can we just get it over with? Because I know how this scene goes. Like, they're recognizing it, or it's always like she ducks and they get the person behind them, or they, like, it's never just the big dramatic soap opera. Splash the water in the face.
Or like the mother-in-law will go to throw the water, and then the other girl grabs it and throws it, like, you know, throws it first, and then it's just like, oh, like, you know, like, shit like that. Like, I like stuff like that, where it's just sort of like.
I feel like I've seen one recently where, like, the guy is sitting there, and he just keeps grabbing the water and, like, chugging it back, like, drinking it, and then they bring his mother another glass, and he drinks it again, because he's like, he's drinking the glasses, like, stop.
See, that sort of stuff is good, right? Like, that.
Yeah. I like when they take trope and they recognize this is a trope, and we're setting you up, and then we're going to stop it. Like, we're going to turn it on its head, and I like that.
Do you think it's more common for larger production shows and whatever to be better at that than the smaller ones?
No, I think it's actually like the smaller productions that have a bit more freedom, like from the smaller channels and stuff, because they're not like, so the tropes are there for a reason, right? Like, it's like people recognize them and enjoy them. So like the bigger shows, like on the main three networks, would be more entrenched in sort of this traditional style of storytelling because they're, you know, have more scrutiny and more like censorship. I
think also like the more executives that would just push for that, like push for more like
what they know.
You know what like it will work, so do it that way.
Yeah.
As opposed to having a little bit more independence in it.
Yeah. So whereas like, you know, on like the cable networks or like the web shows or the smaller shows, like usually they have more freedom to do things because they're not expecting, they're not as entrenched in getting the ratings because they're not going to get them no matter how good the show is because they're on like a for-pay network as versus like a, you know, free network.
But I think the flip side of that would be, so like let's say for web dramas or similarly very tiny budget shows, so you're probably not getting, you're sometimes not getting very quality writing, and so you might end up taking those shortcuts more because you're not working with quite as much as you would if you were a bigger production. So that's kind of what I was thinking too. Like,
oh, so you're thinking like really small production. We were going like mid-sized production.
Well, I mean, you had mentioned web dramas and stuff. So I mean, I understand, like executive wise, I would think the ones that the big production companies would, you know, be more pushy to their writers about exactly what they want. Stick this in it. So like you got that. But if you're talking tiny or you're just talking small enough budget that your writing staff is maybe not marvelous or new, young, you're probably gonna fall back on the tropes more. Like web dramas, like you're gonna see more tropes.
Yeah. I mean, it's a problem in any entertainment, you know, in any country. We all have tropes, you know, and then we still do them. Even though, like, people are like, oh, man, this is, like, the worst, it still happens, you know? It's kind of one of those things, like, even though it's the worst, people do tend to like
it. There's also,
that familiarity.
Yeah, there's something comforting about them, like, something, you know, nostalgic about them being like, ah, yes. It makes sort of the viewer feel in tune with what's happening. They're like, aha, like, I know what's going on. I feel smart. I am enjoying being smarter than the show. Like...
Well, it would be really tough to not have any type of trope whatsoever in something like...
Well, it would be impossible, but...
Because it even boils down to, like, nice protagonist and mean villain. Like, I mean, you're eventually going to run into something broad that, like, it's going to fit into that framework.
It's like, you know, man goes on journey. That's the... you know, that's for almost every show. So you gotta, you know, man is in... non-gender specific individual main character goes on journey either of a personal or external manner is the plot of literally anything you watch. So
we got really serious.
Man, we went in a circle. Oh boy. We just wanted to be chaotic, but yet we got all in depth and shit.
I mean, we really are chaotic. It just, we go chaotic in our chaoticness as well, I guess. You really can't, like, pin us down. I'm sorry, guys, everyone who's, like, listening to us.
See,
wow.
That's because we don't fall back on our own tropes. You never know where we're going. We're going all over the place.
Because we don't know where we're going.
Yeah, in order to write a trope, you have to understand your story, and right now we don't understand anything. Nope. We're just out here having a good time. You know, we're just doing it. We're just doing it. Anyway, on that note, we'll try to be less serious in the future, I guess. I think you're here for the fun. But this has been another episode of the Certified Nunas, part of the end of the year retrospective. Where we talked about dramas that surprised us, and tropes we wish would die with the year or be changed in some way. Anyway, we hope that you have a great week and enjoyed listening to us. You can listen to us wherever you listen to us now, but if you want to mix it up, we're on YouTube. We're on Spotify. We are on Apple iTunes. We're on Google Play. We're on Stitcher. We're on Podbean. You can actually just go to our website, certifiednunas.com. All the episodes will be there with all the show notes and all the time codes and everything like that, because Jessie is amazing, and she writes them all down for us when she's editing, and she's just the best. We also have a coffee if you want to support us. ko-fi.com/certified Nunas. You can go and get some fun behind the scenes stuff and help us keep this podcast going. Do. Yeah, we love all our coffees. They're great. My husband's one. Beth. There's Beth. There's Kathy. There's someone new. We have a good time. We have a good time on coffee. We have a good time with all y'all. And you can follow us on Twitter @Certified News. We're also on Instagram @Certified News. We're on Facebook, sort of, I guess. We're on Facebook. We're on Tumblr. We're on the social medias. You know, we do what we do. Anyway, we'd love to hear from people. So let us know what you thought of the episode over on Twitter because we live there. That's our hometown. Our hometown is twitter.com. Anyway, we hope you have a great week and keep watching dramas. All right.